Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Key Ingredient Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Cherline Louissaint, health and wellness consultant at Increase the Peach in Fort Myers, Florida. Cherline, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am very excited about this. You and I have known each other through social media for quite some time, and I follow you, and everyone listening obviously should when they're interested in health and wellness and everything that goes along with that. So this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because I enjoy that lifestyle as well. Yeah. So let's just jump right into it. If you don't mind, maybe just tell our listeners and viewers just a little bit about yourself, please.
All right. As you said, my name is Cherline. I'm 5'3". I got long. I'm just joking.
Keep going. That's fine.
I'm a health and wellness consultant. I am based here in Southwest Florida. I'm passionate like you about health and fitness and about helping people become proactive about their health. And I get to do that through my fitness center, Increase the Peach. Don't let the name fool you. We actually do a lot of heavyweight boxing and lifting there. I also have a clothing line, an athletic wear clothing line, and I love to plan events. So I plan a couple of health and wellness festivals every now and then.
I love it. So let's go back in time, if you don't mind, Cherline. And so you're originally from Miami, correct?
Yes, originally from Miami.
So what brought you to Southwest Florida?
Family. My mom thought Miami was just moving too fast for girls, and she was raising girls on her own. So she wanted to get us out of the fast life. So she moved us down to Southwest Florida, and we had never even heard of this area. When we moved here, there was nothing but cows. I don't even think many of the Walmarts were here yet. But family moved me here, and family brought me back.
Okay. So what were you like let's go to high school. Were you athletic at that time? I mean, what kind of kid were you?
I had asthma. I was an orchidork. I actually played the violin. I was first chair at Fort Myers Senior High School, go Green Wave.
Wow.
But no, I was not athletic. Third grade, I think it was, when all my athletic dreams kind of disappeared. I went to try out for the track team and had an asthma attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
How severe was your asthma? Was it pretty severe?
It was more so exercise induced.
Okay.
So I really couldn't do too much strenuous exercise. My mom told me that actually when I was born, I had breathing issues because, believe it or not, I was like a 10-pound baby, 10-pound breech baby that caused her to have a cesarean.
Okay.
And so she was like, "Oh, I thought you kind of just grew out of it because you never needed an inhaler or anything." But I guess my lungs just never really kicked into gear, and I found out when I thought I'm the fastest, I'm gonna just run track and I'm gonna go to the Olympics. And it was like, nope, you're not gonna do that. My mom, being from the Caribbean, she's Haitian and super I had a dream, so you can't go out type of parent.
Sure.
So she was like, yeah, you have asthma, so you can't do anything, you can't run, you just have to sit there and look cute.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I was exempt from taking PE all throughout school, and then I did the IB program. And we didn't have to do any PE programs in high school. So I just did the violin. And then in senior year, I think I joined the dance team.
Okay. Well, so that's athletic. I mean, that certainly.
Was so
what kind of dancing?
It was actually with the marching band.
Okay.
So yeah, was it senior year? Maybe it was freshman year. Yeah, because we actually started the Riptide dance team. And I was like, well, Mommy, it's just dancing. I dance around the house and I don't have an asthma attack. And she allowed me to do that. And then I had to get an inhaler. I had to use an inhaler the entire time. So all of the football moms and band moms had to make sure that they had my inhaler, because I had needed a puff before I go on the field.
Sure.
And a puff after, and I was able to do it. But then I was like, okay, if I can dance, I'm pretty sure I could do other things. So when I left the house, I was like, I'm going to try to work out. And that's what it's just started there. Just all right, I can beat this thing. And I actually took an extracurricular in yoga at FIU.
Okay.
I was like, I'm going to do yoga because they talk about breathing and meditation. I think if I can get control over my breath, I could probably exercise. And that's what I did. I took that semester of yoga and I really learned how much your breath just impacts everything. And I got rid of my inhaler in a year.
So you attribute yoga to helping you?
I really do.
Control your asthma.
I attribute yoga and just breath work and meditation with helping me to get rid of my asthma. It's still an issue, obviously. I still have issues with breathing. I still find sometimes I'll get winded, but I also can run a half marathon.
Interesting. Wow.
So
I bet you wish you knew that back in third grade.
I mean, even if I knew it, I'm pretty sure my mom would still tell me no.
If she had a dream about it, I'm sure, yeah.
But if I knew how to do it and could sneak and do it when I was at school, I would have totally done it.
Sure.
I really would have.
Interesting. So, okay. So you said you went to FIU, correct?
I did. I started my schooling at FIU because I wanted to get out of Fort Myers by any means necessary. Sorry, Fort Myers. So I actually started my collegiate career at FIU.
Okay. So what did you study there?
Communications, believe it or not, PR.
Very nice. So what happened after that? So you graduated FIU.
No, I actually
Okay.
didn't. I ended up
Okay.
coming back. My mom had a health crisis that caused me to come back to Fort Myers. And then I came in, I became an Eagle. I went to FGCU and I finished my degree there.
Okay.
So I got my bachelor's in communications and PR from FGCU.
Very nice. So after that, so I know you had an interesting, I guess, segue or start into the fitness industry. It wasn't exactly something you had planned, I believe. Tell us a little bit about that story, because I think it's a very impactful story, if you don't mind.
So a lot of my life, even though I wasn't allowed to exercise, was running away from Fort Myers. So after I got back to Fort Myers and graduated, I ran back to Miami, and I wanted to work in entertainment. So I didn't feel like being in this area would allow me to work in PR and entertainment. I did that for over a decade, working in Miami, traveling the world with different entertainers, athletes, and working in that career. And then again, my mom, who had been sick when I was in college, her health turned for the worse. So I ended up coming back full time, realizing like, okay, this is going to be a thing. I'm going to just stay here. And obviously, when your life trajectory changes, it's not always easy to take it and accept it. I was very angry. I was angry, one, because my mom was sick, finding out that it was a disease that could have been prevented. And I was pissed off. So the pissed off turned into passion about helping people to become proactive about their health. And I was only really just being a loudmouth on social media. For some reason, people listened to me. And I was like, okay, listen here. You guys got to do better. You don't want to sweat out your edges. You got to go to the gym. You got to be proactive. You got to move your body. You got to stop eating all the sodium and the fried foods, because you're going to have diabetes and high blood pressure. Like, I was like that person, like that self-righteous person. Like, you got to stop doing all these things.
Let me stop you there, if you don't mind. So what was the trigger that brought you from, you came home to take care of your mom, you were a caregiver, right? And were you living a healthy lifestyle at that point?
I was.
Okay.
Once I got into college, after that yoga class, I completely turned into a gym head. Like, I was working out every day. I was going to the gym, trying out different gyms, doing anything fitness related. I wanted to move my body in all ways. I almost felt like I was supposed to be an athlete. So I wanted to just figure out how to become that for myself.
Sure.
So it became like my hobby, my outlet. So I was always working out. But then realizing, talking to the doctors, my mom has hypertension and diabetes. Long-standing hypertension and diabetes that turn into kidney failure. So she's on high hemodialysis 3 times a week. We learned that because of her unchecked hypertension and taking insulin for all those years, that led to the failure of her organs. So it's like, what can help you with hypertension and diabetes? Diet and exercise.
Sure.
Unless it's like type 1 diabetes, you can really manage it and sometimes reverse the effects by a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. So when I realized that, I was like, you mean I exercise every day and I eat healthy. I don't eat meat. I eat fish mostly. I could eat clean half of the year. I'm vegan. And my mom has kidney failure because she didn't move more and eat better. That sucks.
Sure it does. Yeah.
So I didn't want anyone else to have to deal with that prognosis of your quality of life is going to change and your life expectancy may change, because if you don't get a kidney, the lifespan on hemodialysis is not that long. So I just, like I said, I was just upset, and I wanted other people to just to wake up and not have to go through what my family was going through.
Sure. So when you went onto social media and, like you said, you became an advocate, right, about health and wellness, were you a personal trainer at that time or not yet? Okay.
I was still
so it's just a passion that you had that you wanted to share with the world.
Completely had a day job. I was the communications person by day and the fitness crusader by night.
Okay.
I would go to work, but then I knew how to use social media for work, obviously. And I just created a little Facebook group. At that time, Facebook groups weren't that popping. I still didn't really know how to use Instagram. I hated Twitter, but I would just say things and it would catch attention. And I liked making videos. So if I did work out, I would share my workout video. I actually think I started doing my sweaty selfies at that point too. Hey, I'm going to the gym. So if I'm telling you to do it, you got to do it too.
Sure.
Kind of thing. So.
Interesting. So what made you then, I mean, it seems like an obvious progression, but to become a personal trainer?
People kept asking me to train them. I think sometimes we think because someone is advocating for something or saying you should do it or showing that they do it, and they have what you want, you think, oh, they obviously know what they're doing. So no one realized that I wasn't a personal trainer. They were just like, oh, will you train me? You're so passionate. You're always at the gym. I'm like, I'm not a personal trainer.
Sure.
I can't. I don't even think it's ethical. That's not my scope of work. But then my mom's, they were saying that she was going to have to do hospice. Okay. And I'm like, well, she's on dialysis. You can do dialysis. You don't have to go to hospice for that. I'll figure it out. Like working with a physical therapist, and I was like, I work out. Let's just learn the body and figure out how to actually make her move and rehabilitate my mom.
Mhm.
And so from showing that, I was like, okay, I guess I might as well go ahead and get the certification, because people just kept asking. They're like, let's do a meetup and like host a workout. And I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right.
Sure.
Because you have those people that are just like, okay, I work out so I can train you. But everybody's different. So I wanted to make sure that if I did it the right way.
Okay. So how long ago was that you got certified?
Like 8 years ago, I think.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
8 years
like
ago.
8 years.
So tell me a little bit about kind of what like a normal day is for you. And not only we'll get into your own personal workouts if you don't mind sharing in a little bit, but from a clientele point of view. So obviously you work at the fitness center in Fort Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you meet all of your clients there? Do you meet them outside of there as well? How does that work?
I work a few ways. So my day starts at 2:30 in the morning, because I do have some trainings that I do virtually. So I train clients through like a web interface. They have an app where we design programming for them and they're able to do it on their own.
Okay.
And I check in with them and I check in on their progress that way. Then I head to the gym, I work out, and then I go into the studio. We open the studio about 5, and I see most of my clients in studio, but then I have a select few that are a little bougie and they like me to come to their homes.
Okay.
And I go in and I check in on them and I work out from their homes with them. And then I go back into the studio.
Okay.
And do it there.
It's a long day. So what are the hours from when to when?
I start my day typically at 2:30 every day, and it probably ends around 8:30.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So tell me about the app a little bit. So is it one of those where someone signs on to the app, becomes a client of yours, and you can actually track everything that they're doing?
Yeah,
how does that work?
stalk them. So I tell everybody, I'm like, if you become my client, we become besties. Like, I need to know everything. I even want to know like your bowel movements. Like, how many times did you go today? Like,
very personal.
It's super personal.
Okay.
Like, I need to know everything that you've done, and the app allows them to do that. So most people use a fitness tracker. We both have on Apple Watches right now.
Yes, we do.
And it lets me see how much they're moving. So I can actually throughout the day, if I check in, I could be like, oh, you're only at 5,000 steps, but you're usually at like 10,000 by now. So what is going on? We need to figure out how to get you moving more. It shows us that. It actually gives them like a grade of red, yellow, or green. So that way, if they're not tracking on what their goals are, there's a habit tracker in there. So if you're not drinking water and you said you want to drink more water and you're not checking off those habits, we can see that. If you're not checking off your sleep habits, and there's a nutrition component to track your nutrition, and then the workouts where there's video guided, like either myself or other trainers showing them the workout so that they know how to do it on their own as well, with the prescribed, like everything from reps and sets. So you
will prescribe. So someone who has this, and I've never seen your app, but someone who has it could go on there on a daily basis and not only track habits, but they could also see the workout that you laid out for them for the day.
Yep.
Also the steps that they have. And I'm assuming diet, things like macros and things like that.
Everything is laid out. Okay. Macronutrients are laid out. It actually syncs to other apps, so you can actually track in like MyFitnessPal, and it'll go back and tell me.
So it works with MyFitnessPal. Okay.
So yeah, it's actually a very intuitive app, and it allows you again like to see the program. So before we used to do programming like through Excel sheets, and it's like, okay, 10 squats times 15 or whatever type of thing. But now I can actually like put the video, the description of what the exercise is, what body part is actually working out, because there's actually an encyclopedia of exercises that even after you've gotten through your program, let's say it's like a 2 or 3 phase program, you can then later on go in and say, well, okay, I really want to focus on my quads. What are some other exercises that I can include now to help you start building your own programming in there? Because if you don't have a plan, whether it's with a trainer or not, you're not going to really succeed or progress with fitness. So
certainly agree with that. So anyone listening who's saying, you know what, I want to lose 10, 15, 20 pounds, whatever it may be, that is really a way to go, right? Through the app, and you can track everything. You can tell them how much they should be eating and working. That's terrific.
It's a very cost-effective way. And if you know that you have the discipline to continue and like hold yourself accountable to do it, it's a great way to get personal training on your own like terms.
Okay. Interesting. So you have a term that you use called balancing consistency and grace in fitness.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, please.
Because right now, I think everybody's a fitness guru. So everybody's always like, you got to be consistent. You got to be disciplined. They're yelling at you and they're telling you have to always like be in the gym. And from someone who's always in the gym, it's not the case. There's certain times, like recently we had like the Hurricane Idalia scare. So I was actually on the other coast. I had an event that was taking place. So I was going to be out of my normal routine for 7 days, right? I'm also preparing for bikini competition, which requires consistency. But for those like 7 days when there was a hurricane imminent, there was an event that I was planning, I was not at home, consistency had to look a little bit different.
Sure.
So I had to learn how to balance it. I couldn't just give up because my routine was different. But I also had to just understand that okay, normally I work out 7 days a week. I may only get to work out 3 days. Here, it's still consistency. It's just a different shift. I'm still able to sustain my progress, but it's not perfection. I'm still progressing.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So that's what it is. It's really just understanding that in different seasons in life and different days and different just time periods, things are going to change. And if you stick to a notion that everything has to be a certain way, you're going to get to failure.
Yeah. Interesting. So you recently had that, didn't you? Where you did take, like you said, you took it, because I did see you posted where
10 days.
You're human, right? Wow. 10 days.
I was so surprised. I was like, oh, I hadn't lifted. I moved. I did things.
Sure.
I worked on a treadmill. I have like a treadmill desk. So I walk. So I got my steps in and everything, but I actually hadn't lifted for 10 days. And me last year, I probably would have had a nervous breakdown, believe it or not. I'd have like, oh my gosh, I did not work out. I'm flat. I would have been just, what is it? I think it's like orthorexia. Is that
what it's called? Okay.
Where you're just like so infatuated with being healthy that if you're not like perfect at it, like you just, it's actually like a mental disorder.
I could see that. Well, because there is something mental to working out, right? For anyone who works out, you tell me what you think, but anyone who works out consistently and is pretty hardcore, when they don't work out, they don't necessarily feel the same way. And when they do, they tend to feel better.
No, I'm like the Snickers bar commercial. My family will be like, you haven't worked out, huh? You should probably go to the gym.
They can tell.
They can definitely tell.
Yeah.
Even just my productivity, I feel is different. Like I start my day with a workout because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel more productive. Like I feel like it equips me to feel as if I can take on everything else. Right. Yeah. Like working out doesn't fix your problems, but it definitely, in my opinion, makes you feel like, okay, if I can lift 150 pounds and I only weigh 120 pounds, like I can definitely tackle like 3 items on my to-do list today.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
I can obviously ask someone to sponsor this event. I lifted more than my own body weight. It's nothing. So I think it definitely does shift your perspective on like just how you see things if you don't do it consistently, if your routine messes up. But it's just knowing that if the routine changes, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. You're right. And you just pick up and tomorrow's another day, right?
I mean, I still have my muscles.
Yeah. It probably takes quite some time to lose them, doesn't it?
My body probably needed the rest, to be honest, because that's the thing is like rest is actually when our body gets to do everything that it needs to do.
Sure.
To see those gains. So we just have to learn the balance of it. It's so good.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I'm assuming you probably hear quite a bit from your clients and just people in general is they don't have enough time. I think it's one of the biggest things when it comes to eating and fitness, two completely separate components, obviously. But how do you help people through that? I mean, what is enough time? And I know that varies, but for someone who right now is not very active and they want to be, I mean, what do you think is the best way for them to get started?
So I usually, when people tell me they don't have time, I don't argue with them. I'm just like, okay, you don't have time.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Probably the best approach.
I call myself the lazy trainer. I'm like, oh, you want to work out? Cool. You don't? It's all right. But in having a conversation, you find out that people actually have way more time than they say they do. So just like, all right, cool. You don't have time. That's fine. I kind of make them forget that they've already given me an objection to doing it. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of disarm them through conversation, just hearing about their lives. And like, sometimes I'll find out, like, an example, a client of mine, she has a dog. She loves her dogs. She takes her dogs for walks like 3 times a day, but she wasn't considering that exercise. Walking is exercise.
Getting a lot of steps.
You're getting a lot of steps. You're moving. And then there's things you can do out there with your dog. Throwing a frisbee, throwing a ball, maybe making it a game to pick up your dog and bring them up the stairs a few times. Like, so things like that. I just have conversations where I just like interject where just life imitates the gym, or the gym like imitates life, like different things that you're doing. Like, oh, I'm a mover, I'm picking up boxes all the time, or I'm an Amazon delivery person. Like, oh my gosh, the functionality of all these movements are things that we mimic in the gym.
Sure.
And maybe you're not able to get into the gym, but your life could still be healthy. And then it's like, oh, I don't have time to cook. Well, they have these prepared meals for you, even at Publix now, that you can get. You can go to Whole Foods too. We have them now. There's Trader Joe's. There's all these prepared things. So I just try to like interject, like, oh, have you heard of this thing called a microwave? You can actually like get prepared meals.
Sure.
And I just try to make it just simple so that it's just like a reminder that it doesn't have to be like tilapia and broccoli and hardcore like bro diet to be healthy. Like the things that you're doing, if you change just one small thing today, and then you're able to change another small thing next week, little by little, those small changes start to create like sustainable growth towards your goals. So it's really just helping them to first like be disarmed because you're already objecting to being healthy.
Right.
And then just realize one, like, cool, you're already kind of doing it. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could just do like one other thing towards that thing?
Sure.
And it helps because you're like, oh, that's easy. I can do that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How important would you say macros are to your diet? And by the way, for anyone, I'll have you explain it, but for anyone listening who doesn't know what macros necessarily are, maybe if you don't mind explaining that just a little bit.
Yes, your macronutrients are made out of your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. They are the building components of most of the foods that you eat. When people think of protein, they're usually going to think of a protein shake, but protein actually comes through your spinach, your beans, your fish, your beef, your carbs. Of course, you're going to think it's like your Snickers bars, but those are things like your pasta.
Pizza
Definitely is a carb. But we're thinking healthy.
Yeah.
You know, your pastas and your rice and your grains and your toast and things of that nature. And then your fats can be things coming from like nuts, butters, and things of those nature. So those are like the building blocks of your diet. And then there are micronutrients, which are like your vitamins and your minerals. All those things come together to create a diet.
Okay. And so when you customize macros for someone, whatever percentage of fat, carbs, and protein, do you adjust that based on kind of, I guess, their reaction and how they're progressing through their fitness program?
So I do not adjust anyone's macros because that's, again, beyond my scope. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm in school now to become a dietitian.
Okay.
Because I do think nutrition is very key to most people's goals. I refer them out to a dietitian. I have one that I work very closely with, and she actually teaches them what they need to do because she's able to do the testing and find out what is necessary for their diet. Through that, I'm able to coach them to help them get to those macronutrients.
Okay.
So if you're like, say, we're going to go with me. If I think right now I'm like maybe 127 pounds and I'm trying to put on muscle. So I need to get at least 130 grams of protein. What does that mean? That means that throughout the day, I need to make sure that I'm getting maybe like 4 or 5 servings of fish. And if I don't want to eat 4 or 5 servings of fish, maybe I'm adding a protein shake that has between like 20 and 30 grams of protein. So that's what it is. I'm just helping them to understand like what they're eating and what they're eating is actually made out of.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a lot of women who listen to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There's this notion that as women, they don't want to lift weights, right? And I know you lift weights and strength training, obviously is very important, but there is that misconception that I don't want to bulk up. I don't want to get too big. I'm a woman. Let's discuss that a little bit, please.
Honey. You would have to be a man to look like a man. Like, it's just like, I don't know whoever started that, but there's not enough weight that you could lift to like look that bulky. And then the amount of food. And that's the thing is because people don't understand macronutrients. They don't understand the amount of caloric intake. So your macronutrients together build up, create calories. So let's look at it this way. Your protein is about 4 grams per unit. Your fats is the most calorie dense. It's about 9 grams. And then your carbs are another 4. Those things together, like if you have to create the math of, okay, I'm eating 130 grams of protein, I need 100 grams of carbs, and then maybe like 50 grams of protein, that actually may only be about 1,500 calories.
Sure.
And then I get so disappointed when I see a grown woman who's 43 years old, 5'9", and she's only eating 1,100 calories, which is probably enough for a toddler. It's not enough. And a lot of people wonder like, why am I'm not able to sleep? My hair is falling off. I can't like lose weight in my midsection. It's because you're not eating enough. So if you're not even eating enough to sustain a life where you're able to breathe properly, how would you eat enough to like get bulky? The weights are not doing it. Usually the thing that they're afraid of is what they're fueling their bodies with. And if you're not fueling your body properly, you're not going to get to that figure that you're trying to get.
Sure.
And you're definitely not going to become bulky.
Yeah.
You're not eating enough. You're going to probably have to eat like 5,000 calories to get bulky. No one probably could do that unless you're like one of those YouTubers that
The
does
Rock.
it.
The Rock probably
does,
he eats a lot of calories.
Not human.
No.
I don't think he is.
He's probably like 10,000 calories or something crazy, 8,000 or just
have
a huge number.
Have you seen the videos when he eats? Like he has like big pancake stacks, like 3 ribeyes, and it's crazy.
He's achieving the opposite of what people say, which is as you get older, he's putting on more muscle and less fat.
Human.
No, he's not human.
I don't think he's part of our human race.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. So yeah, macros are important, and thank you for
And
mentioning
muscles
that.
are important because it's actually like an anti-aging effect. The more muscles you have, it keeps your bone density better. Women have issues with osteoporosis as we age, and the more you work out, it causes you to have stronger bones, which causes you to have less issues with like probably falling and breaking your hip, which causes you to be immobile and then causes you to like atrophy a muscle. So you really do want to work on building muscle, not just for the aesthetic of it, just but for functional life.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn
The
anyway
more
when you're not
calories
working
you
out,
burn
right?
at rest.
Yeah. I think that's also a misconception. You see a lot of people trying to lose weight and they hit the treadmill and they're just on that treadmill for as long as they can sustain it.
And that's what I tell people. I'm like, okay, so this is the thing. You get on the treadmill and you burn all those calories, but the calories that you burn on the treadmill, that's it. You lift weights, you burn less calories, but you're still burning calories throughout the rest of the day.
Sure.
Which is better.
We're burning calories right now, right?
Just sitting here looking pretty.
Yeah,
right?
You're exactly right.
Yeah, so I think people need to understand, and there's so much material online now that you can really educate yourself. You could even listen to a podcast on how it actually all works for you. So I tell women all the time, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to focus on what you're eating. You want to make sure you're not letting anything stress you out too much. Probably need to reduce your alcohol intake, and you most certainly want to lift weights.
Yeah.
You do need to do cardio because it's for your cardiovascular health, right? Your heart health. But like 3 times a week is enough.
Yeah, interesting. So let's talk plateaus. So for those who are a little bit more experienced with working out, how common are they?
And they're super common. I think I'm going through one right now, actually.
So do me a favor again for anyone who doesn't know. Please describe what a plateau is.
A plateau is like if you have a line graph, right? So your graph is steadily going up. You've gotten into the gym, you're getting all the newbie gains, and you're seeing everything. You're losing all the weight. You've lost like 30 pounds in the first like 97 days of working out, just throwing out random figures. And then on day 98, you realize, all right, I'm at set goal here, and let's see what happens in day 100. And then you get to day 105 and you realize I'm still at the same set point that I was at 97. So that line that was steadily rising, increasing, it just becomes flat. It just becomes like a stagnant line. So what a plateau is essentially, it just means that you have remained the same. You hit like a ceiling.
Yeah. And would you say that's because your body's become so accustomed to a certain, right? And that's why it's
a lot of people, what routine is necessary for working out. So there's the misconception that you got to try every Instagram workout that you see. And that's not the case. You should definitely stay on a program between 4 to 6 weeks. But sometimes what we do is we find a diet that works for us. Like, or like, I'm going to be keto, I'm going to be paleo. And it works for you for those first like 6 to 12 weeks. But then now it's probably time to change. It may be time to like remove something from the diet. It may be time to increase movement. Usually that just means that you probably should talk to someone about it. Like just normalize the idea like, hey, I've gotten to this place and I'm stuck. Somebody probably has gone through something similar that can work out and it's like tell you what they've done. Or you can probably look into a professional that can help you break that plateau. That's what I had to do. I had to, obtain professional assistance to kind of help me get through that, because there's only so much I understand about exercise for just lifestyle versus now when you're going into a different arena for competition style. So, and this is the same thing for people. Like you may know how to eat healthy. You may know like I should probably stop eating fried foods and stop eating McDonald's, and it worked for you. You lost a lot of weight, but then you may not have realized that your macronutrients are not necessarily on target and you're not hitting those goals. So you're not getting enough of your carbohydrates and your fats and your proteins, and that could be it. Or you may be the person that's at the gym and you're afraid to lift more weight because you don't have a spotter, and you're probably not building more muscle because you need to lift heavier. So having those conversations allows you to troubleshoot what's causing the plateau so that you can actually start to see the line moving again.
Okay. I would imagine taking a break like you did also might help as well, right?
Resting works, because when you're working out so much, you're definitely causing inflammation as well.
Sure.
So that can be an issue. And rest, I tell people all the time, like even if you still want to be active, you still have to like figure out a way to make your body go into recovery mode so that you can see it. I didn't change with my my strength at all. I went back into the gym this past Sunday and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so weak and so frail. And it was like, oh, I feel like I never left. I felt better. I could lift more, actually. I had more endurance. I felt like I love it again.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. Sometimes we need that kind of break. You mentioned lifting more. So Another misconception, I think, is carbs, right? I mean, we're in this low carb environment. We have been for a couple decades now where people don't want to eat carbs. But for most people who train regularly, you realize carbs are pretty important.
Yeah.
So maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Super important. They're your energy block. That's what keeps you going. And if you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough fuel to work out, you're going to find yourself not able to actually perform at your highest levels in there. And I actually have a video, I think, on my Instagram where it's like berating people for like not liking carbs because they're surprised when I eat like rice for breakfast. I
get the same thing, by the way. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
You can eat breakfast is just breaking your fast. You can eat anything to break your fast, but it's essential. Like the type of carb matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your complex carbs and then you have your simple carbs, which are pretty much like one breaks down a lot faster than the other. So the way that the energy goes out is different.
Sure.
So you probably don't want to have Fruity Pebbles before you go lift, but having oatmeal could probably just make you, feel more like to be able to just get through an hour workout or however long your workout is. So eating carbs is super essential. Each building. So if I break it down like this, just being like a little science nerd, your carbs are your energy source. So they're going to fuel you so that you can be satiated and also have like the stamina. Your proteins are going to make you feel fuller longer. They help build your muscle, but not just your muscles, your bones, your fingernails, your hair. Like proteins are like your aminos. They're your building blocks for life. And then fats, like even our organs are aligned by fat. Like our brain health is needed with fats. So you want to have a healthy balance of all of those things. Taking any, like if a personal trainer or anyone ever tells you like, oh, you need to just take out one like building block, you should probably run the other way. Because there needs to be balance in all areas in order to actually see sustainable like growth towards your goals. So you need all of those things, and just understanding even on the most basic level what everything does. Like we said, protein, bones, hair, skin, nails, and then carbs, fuel, energy, go, go, go. And then fats for your brain.
But the right portions.
But the right portions are
you don't want to. We say
be,
you could eat rice, but that doesn't mean you eat.
You want to eat rice, enough of rice for yourself. So like for me, I have maybe like 4 different servings throughout the day. I have like 5 meals and then like 2 snacks throughout the day because I'm going from 2:30 in the morning until 8. So I may have a 1/4 cup of rice 3 of those times, and then only a 1/2 cup those other 2.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't do intuitive eating. I know some people can, but I eat like a linebacker if I don't actually measure it out. So I have the measuring cups and I have the balance scale, and I actually do everything. And I still use my app to put it in there, because if you don't know what you're doing, I treat myself like a science project. So I actually try to make sure that I'm hitting all my macronutrients. I know how many ounces of water. People get mad at me because like, oh, can I have a sip of water? And I'm like, no. They're like, what if we're in the Sahara Desert? I'm like, I need to know exactly.
You wouldn't even make an exception to Sahara Desert. Okay.
I probably would, but no, I'm like, you can't have this water. I need to know. But like knowing it helps. It helps your doctors know how to change your medications. It helps your personal trainers know like if you can actually sustain like the energy levels needed for a workout. It helps your dietitian understand if you're eating what you need to eat to actually like lose weight or gain weight.
Sure.
It does help to look at the nutrition labels.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. And measuring your food sounds like such a complicated nuisance for most people, but once you start doing it for a while, it's really not that big of a deal.
It's so much fun to me.
Yeah.
I really probably am a nerd, but I think it's really not a big of a deal, especially if you're just doing it before. Like most people eat on the go anyways. Most of us don't have a chance to go home for every meal. So if you're already going to work and packing your lunch, it's just one simple extra step.
Sure.
And then if you don't necessarily want to actually know exactly how many grams or ounces, they create like the rule of just like thumb, where it's like, okay, if you're doing like a nut butter, you may just like use the size of your thumb. If it's like for your proteins, the palm of your hand, and like the same thing with like
the fist, right?
The fist.
Right.
You just do that for your plate, and you kind of measure it that way. So there's different ways to kind of eyeball it, and they call it intuitive eating now. But if you know like something's not right and you're not changing, if you hit that plateau, the best way to kind of get out of that plateau is to really have some numbers to give to the person that you're going to go and consult with.
That makes a lot of sense. What I like about macros, by the way, and counting macros is you make choices as well, right? So there may be a meal you're out and for whatever reason, you're just going to eat less carbs, right? Because you don't have the ones you want available to you.
It's like a bank.
You could eat more later, right? And that's kind of a nice thing as well. So it does allow you to start thinking that way.
Yeah, I teach it like a monopoly money. I tell my clients, I'm like, all right, you got like $150 of proteins, $130 of carbs. So like, how are you going to spend those values? So it's the same if you only had like 5 tens and you actually needed like 10 tens, you would say, okay, well, I can't do that because I don't have that amount.
Sure.
So it's like your bank, it's your nutrients bank.
Yeah, right? that makes a lot of sense. Do you work mainly with women or both men and women?
I get to work with both men and women.
Okay.
I'm always thankful when the men come and they allow me to train them because I'm just like, thank you. I can actually help you gain weight or like gain muscles. I know what I'm doing. But I get to work with both.
Okay. Okay. What's your favorite part of being a personal trainer? What do you love the most about it?
The people. I really like the fact that people trust me to help them like be their best selves. And then when it starts to click and they're actually like imparting the things that you've like shared with them, it's just so fulfilling to see. So like I get to go on all these different journeys with all these amazing people that have different life struggles and battles and wins that they're going through. And I get to go alongside of them. So it's a very humbling experience. And I'm always super honored when someone chooses me to help them get to their goals because like I count their successes as my successes as well.
Sure.
So it's super amazing. And then I've just been blessed to have amazing clients. Like I've laughed, I've been to clients' weddings and I've cried. I've been to funerals with them. Like I honestly get to do life with so many different people. And I think it's amazing.
That's terrific. For anyone listening right now who says they love working out, they love that lifestyle, and they would love to maybe get into that kind of career as far as fitness and wellness, what advice do you have for them?
I would say find out your why, because there's so many people right now doing it because it looks cool. It looks sexy, right? It's a new thing to do, but it's a lot of work. It's continuous education. There's always changes. You're always debunking things because there was a time where people thought like you really shouldn't eat carbs. But that's outdated methodology, and you need to be able to understand like what is current and what's going on, not just in fitness, but in the medical world. So you just want to make sure that you're going into it for the right reasons, whatever those may be. And then you want to find people that have those same values and get them around you. So that way, when you start to get tired and feel like you can't go on in the marathon, you have people that can kind of remind you of those things.
Sure.
Kind of help you continue to grow and learn and sustain, because it is hard work. It is.
Yeah. Do you think this was your calling? I have an opinion on that based on this conversation, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
I honestly always say like it happened accidentally on purpose. Like I didn't think this was what I wanted to do. I was supposed to be a rock star traveling the world with entertainers, but I honestly feel like I get to do the same thing that I was doing in PR in this arena. So as much as I sometimes say it begrudgingly, I do think that this is my ministry. This is probably what I was called to do.
I would say based on everything you said, it sounds like it is. Third grade, you were limited with being able to work out. Now you're a fitness professional.
Yeah.
You were called back to do something really amazing and help take care of your mom. And that kind of brought you into this. So it sounds like that's the case. Very, very, very interesting story. And listen, we could go on and on with things like this, but I know you're very active on social media.
Yes.
And your content is actually terrific.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about kind of how our listeners and viewers can find you.
So on Instagram, it's simple. Just look up the Peach Lady. I'm just joking. It's actually Increase the Peach.
Increase the Peach.
On
okay.
all platforms, Instagram and Facebook mainly. You can go to increasethepeach.com and you could book any consultations with us. And you could also find me through Fit Mix Fest, which is like a new venture that we have going on. So Increase the Peach is probably going to be your best outlet to find all things Coach Chef.
Okay. And if someone wants more information about how to work with you, they could message you or call.
I'm just joking.
Nobody does that anymore, right?
Like, please don't call me. You can text me, but don't call me. Just joking. No, it's definitely going onto the website. We'll give you all of the information to do it. We put all the information on your hand. You can book me. My schedule is open. I actually don't put limitations. Like, I mean, obviously I block before 2:30 when I'm working out, but you have the accessibility to reach out to me through text, email, DM, phone call for sure. All that is at the palm of your hands on the website.
Excellent. Well, Cherline, thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much
I
for having
enjoyed
me.
this quite a bit. It's a conversation I love to have. If it's okay with you, I'd love to have you back on at some point
I would love
to continue the
that.
conversation.
I was super scared when I walked into this, but you made it super, super.
You're like the queen of
satisfying.
social media. You should not be worried about that. You're always on video and
That's
giving
by
tips.
myself.
I
It's
know.
called a selfie for a reason.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Just
Well,
joking.
you did a great job, and I
Thank
want to
you
have
so
you
much.
back. So again, thank you so much. Continued success, and look forward to seeing you back here.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.